Most people think magic is about tricks, sleight of hand, smoke, and mirrors. But what if understanding deception, really understanding how it works, could protect you in business, in relationships, and life? Today's guest has spent decades mastering deception as an art form. Curt Anderson is a professional touring stage magician who's been performing across the country for years. But here's what makes this conversation different. Curt is 1 year away from finishing his doctorate in communication studies, and he's using everything that he knows about how deception is built to help the rest of us see through it. He survived 2008 recession while other entertainers folded. He rebuilt after COVID shut down every stage in America. And he's got a philosophy on success and failure that will make you rethink the whole scoreboard. This is Execution Lab. I'm DeAndre. Let's work.
So I went from, I was pushing, I'd done as many as 200 shows in a year at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it dropped to like 150, 100, like quick. And then like bookings just kept dropping.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the things that I had been taught as a magician is, and this I think is advice that maybe does translate to anybody that works in the sales that has this entrepreneurial spirit, is that the minute you walk off stage, you are unemployed till you're back on stage.
Wow. Yeah.
Right? So you got bookings, those bookings can go away.
Yeah.
Right? I had bookings that were booked that canceled. So I'm relying on these. Well, I never relied on money I didn't have.
If you got a dream and you serious, clock in, yeah, we execute in here. Plan it, test it, break it, rebuild, first make diamonds, pay, make skill. No hype, just reps, that's how it's done. Execution Lab, get a work begun. Everybody got dreams.
Curt, welcome to the show, man. Welcome to the Execution Lab podcast. I'm excited about this one. Man, listen, from when I was a little boy, I'm going to tell the truth. I'm always fascinated with magic. I can do a couple little magic tricks now with some cards that some people can't figure out. It's probably like elementary to you. But I just want to throw that out there. But we're just gonna hop right in, man. Tell the people who you are, tell them a little bit about yourself, and we'll jump right in.
Sure. My name's Curt Anderson. I have traveled the nation and the world performing magic on stage. I cut my wife in half. I make people float. I make automobiles vanish, things like that. And I've been really blessed, man. I've performed in all 48 continental states. I've been on TV several times, 13 countries. I set out to be a professional magician, and just along the way, I became a professional magician, lived out my dream. I think in a lot of ways, being an entrepreneur and having control of my own life and my own career like that I got to do something most people don't. I retired first in my mind. Most people work their whole lives so they can go travel. I've been like, if I want to go somewhere, I would just book a show there.
Yeah.
And then I got to take my kids with me. So I did all that like right out of the gate. And so I've been really, really, really blessed, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. You said that magic is just a part of who you are. You said, but at some point, you had to shift from being a magician to a businessman. So when did that shift happen? And what did it feel like when you realized that, talent alone wasn't enough?
Yeah. So, the shift started when I turned 16
Mm-hmm.
and I started doing my own shows. I had a mentor. I traveled as a magician's apprentice. This sounds like Harry Potter, a lot of it.
Yep.
But back when I started, there was no internet. So if you wanted to learn, you had to learn from somebody. And I found a professional magician, and I went and I set up his show, and I took down his show, and I did all the work, and he taught me how to do the tricks of his show. And then I would do tricks that I knew and tricks that I learned from him. And then he's like, okay, now you got to take the tricks you've learned from me and make them your own, make them different, make them unique. And then you also have to come up with new tricks. And so there's this multi-level of training that I was going through all the time. And then when we moved, I didn't have him accessible, and I learned that, he's like, okay, you've learned this, but you don't know how to book a show.
Yeah.
You don't know how to set a schedule. You don't all this stuff. So then that's when I was like, oh, there's a lot more to this. You can't get on stage and perform if no one's going to hire you to get on stage.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So you may be the best at what you do, but if you can't get someone to hire you, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
And so that's when it started. And it's really, as I hit the national scene and I found out there's even better ways to do things than what I had been taught. So I don't think that process ever ends, really. we always can grow and be better at what you do, but it started at 16 because, like no one's going to call you to do a birthday party if they don't know you exist,
That's right.
even if they leave, they're looking for a magician.
Yeah.
So now the internet has changed all that, but it's the same thing. You got to people have to be able to find you. And better yet, it helps if you can take it to them. They don't know they want you until they get your material and go, oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a little bit. So whether someone is listening, they may be a magician or may not, they may be a
Sure.
speaker or they may be an author. What was the strategy that you used to position yourself in larger markets before you were in those larger markets? Every week, I sit down with entrepreneurs who are doing the work. These are people who are building businesses while working full-time jobs. These are people who failed, learned, and kept going. And I need your help to keep bringing you these conversations. You see, when you subscribe, you're not just getting notified about new episodes, you're telling the algorithm that this content matters. You're helping more people find it. You're keeping the execution lab alive. It's free. It takes about 2 seconds, but it makes a real difference for a podcast like this, one that's built from the ground up. So if this podcast has helped you, encourage you, or give you something to think about, hit that subscribe button. Help me keep bringing you the content. So let's get back to the conversation.
Yeah. So that was, and I don't know how much this translates to other businesses, right? I can only speak to my own
Sure.
experience on this.
Yeah.
But for example, I want to do a show at the mall because
Okay.
I knew guys that were making a lot of money at the mall. Now, back when I was getting $200 a show, you could get $1,000 to do the mall, and malls were the hot thing. We're talking 1980s here.
Yeah.
So I was like, how can I do the mall? So I go to the mall. I say, hey, I want to come do a show for you. And they're like, all right, well, what are you going to do? We need some big stage stuff. And I didn't have like a full big stage show. And so I'm like, all right, well, I'm not gonna be able to do that right now. So my mind was like, I need to get to where I can do that and come back here. So like, what else I need is like, well, you need to show, proof of insurance and you're gonna have to sign indemnity statements and contracts and I'm like, oh, So then I went to other magicians. I'm like, I wrote these things down. I don't even know what all these mean. I don't know what an
Right.
indemnity contract is, right?
Yeah.
So I learned what all that means, and then I found out what I had to do and prepared. And so I went and I just started looking for big illusions that I could do that other magicians were getting rid of cheap or that I could help rebuild because my dad had a full wood workshop. So I started getting tricks that I couldn't do in a show. Like you can't set up a big sawing in half at a birthday party show.
Right. Oh, no.
It takes 2 hours to set this
that
thing
wouldn't
up.
work.
You gotta have a big stage to do this, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna, like, save up out of doing birthday parties and Lions clubs and Kiwanis clubs, and I'm gonna take a portion of this, and I'm gonna save up for these tricks." And so I got these, and then I was able to do that. Well, along the way, I realized one of the tricks I should get was to make somebody float, and there's a fairly inexpensive version that you can do at birthday parties. But I say inexpensive. Right now, it probably costs $1,500, maybe $2,000 to get one.
Yeah.
And I clearly didn't have that type of budget at the time. But again, I started saving up a little bit out of every show till I could buy one. And I thought this is going to help with the big show. But I noticed, so this is like my secret into getting into the bigger shows. This hit me when I was doing birthday parties and like Kiwanis clubs, Lions clubs. I would often get asked, "Can you make somebody float?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Well, yes, I know how to do that because I worked on that trick with a magician that I traveled with." Like, "Yeah, but do you have it?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't have it, but I know how it's done."
Yeah.
And then they like, "Okay, well, we don't want to book you."
Yeah.
All right, fair enough, right? You want to make somebody float? I don't have the prop. Okay. So when I finally got it, people would ask, "Can you make somebody float?" Like, "Yes, I absolutely can. Would you like to book that?" Like, No. But we'll book the show. And I noticed that my bookings went way up. But I had the making somebody float for a year and a half before I ever booked that
Wow.
into one of my shows.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I booked way more shows. So I was like, "Oh, this is about credibility." Right?
Good.
We
Yeah.
people can't necessarily afford to make somebody float or don't have somebody they wanna make float. They just wanna know, can I do it?
Right.
So I used to do it. I know how to do it. Wasn't good enough. Here's what it costs if you want to book that in addition to the regular show. No, but we'll take the regular show. So then I realized there's pricing points
Yep.
too,
Yep.
where I can hit different pricing points. This
Yep.
is all stuff, man. I was a
Hey,
teenager when I learned
right.
this.
Yeah, that's the
Right?
business side that you're learning. Yeah.
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 So this is like, okay, there's a lot more to this than even what I learned.
Right.
So down the road, I had like this epiphany. I went, oh, wait a minute. Because I've been so around, like, we got to get out of like the way that our industry thinks sometimes. I've been around all these guys that are traveling, doing shows and theaters and stuff everywhere, and they're really successful. But I realized that the average person doesn't know that. The
Yeah.
most really successful magicians aren't on TV, aren't in Vegas.
Yeah.
They travel all over, but people don't realize
Right.
it. And I went, oh, in people's minds, there's two types of magicians, whether they realize this is how they think or not. There's birthday party guy, Las Vegas guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Big stage.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't really describe, the average person couldn't describe what's in between there.
Right.
Right? You're either birthday party guy, Las Vegas guy.
Yeah.
So I went, what can I do to unmistakably be considered Las Vegas guy? So I was early 20s, and I went, if I can make an automobile disappear,
That'll do it.
that's Las Vegas guy, right? Right.
That'll do it.
Like your response right there, like, though, that's pretty cool.
That'll do
I
it.
don't care
Yeah.
who you are. If you make a car disappear,
I'm in.
you're a good
That's
magician, right?
right.
So I started pitching a car vanish to car lots. Hey, let me come make a car disappear for a big radio promo for
Yeah.
you. And Tim Montgomery with Crimson Auto, which is not in business now, he's like, I love this idea. Tim was a guy that always pushed the boundaries and
Yeah.
stuff on how to get his business out. He's like, I love this idea. He goes, as a matter of fact, I'm probably gonna buy George Teague's car, who was playing for the Dallas Cowboys at the time.
Yeah.
So he's like, let's do this and let's make it bigger than that. So we collaborated, and I pitched a trick I had never done.
Wow.
I didn't own the props for.
That's good.
I gave a price for it and then went out and bought it after I booked it.
Yeah.
And then practiced it.
Yes.
So I made a car disappear for a street party. If you've got some people that follow Alabama that live in Tuscaloosa, they may remember this. There was a street festival before the Alabama-Auburn game. I set up a stage with his car on there and made it vanish during the middle of that festival as the headlining act with like 3,000 people there.
Yeah.
And I took great lengths to make this look like a Vegas trick. And I didn't make a dime on it. It was the biggest thing I've ever done,
Wow.
but I priced it to where I just broke even
Right.
to ensure that I get to do this. And then I use that as promo, and my bookings for my stage show and my traveling show just went through the roof.
Yeah.
Because somebody calls up and they say, well, hey, why should we book you instead of somebody else? I said, well, can they make a car disappear?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Right.
I'm like, yeah, here's the video. Like, I made this Mustang vanish in front of thousands of people.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, yeah, no, dude, like, yeah, let's talk about this. So,
Right. Well, and today
set me
we call
apart.
it content.
Yeah.
You made content. Yeah, and
Right.
that absolutely, like you said, that's before the internet, really. Yeah.
Or actually mid-90s, yeah.
Yeah, internet was just coming along mid-90s, at least down my way. Let's transition and talk about 2008. And so you said the recession hit, the entertainment bookings dropped. So walk me through what that period actually looked like for your business. What happened to your income? What happened to your? Yeah, it was rough, wasn't it?
Right,
So
PTSD, man.
yeah, talk about that a little bit.
So I went from, I was pushing, I'd done as many as 200 shows in a year at the time. And it dropped to like 150, 100, like
Right.
quick. And then, like bookings just kept dropping. Well, one of the things that I had been taught as a magician is, and this I think is advice that maybe does translate to anybody that works for themselves that has this entrepreneurial spirit, is that the minute you walk off stage, you are unemployed till you're back on stage.
Wow. Yeah.
Right? So you got bookings, those bookings can go away.
Yeah.
Right? I had bookings that were booked that canceled. So I'm relying on these. Well, I never relied on money I didn't have. So I get a check in hand, I didn't count it. I could have 100 shows booked, and I never counted those as
Yeah.
shows. They
Yeah.
were shows once I got my check.
Yeah.
So I've always lived below my means.
Yeah. That's good.
And so when that happened, you know, I was like, we didn't have a budget requiring me to do 100 shows a year. So that was a big step. The second thing is we realized, like, we went down to under 50 shows a year.
Mm.
And then, you know, we were having to take a little less for shows. We couldn't travel as far, plane tickets and things like that. We couldn't book some of those shows.
Yeah.
So I started to, it's kind of, sometimes it's like, as an entertainer especially, like, get this pride of, like, I'm doing my average shows 1,000 people, 1,500 people audience. And now I'm back to taking birthday parties if I can get them,
Yeah.
you know, to help make ends meet.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
then my wife is my assistant, but she's like, hey, I could get, she was offered a job and had insurance because we were paying our own insurance.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that goes a long ways. You know, that was at the time, because my wife had cancer, my son has special needs with
Yeah.
severe form of epilepsy. We were paying over $1,000 worth of for insurance every month in 2008.
Yeah.
And my wife's like, I can get insurance. That would save us $1,000 a month. It's like, well, then we can't book as many shows where you're part of the.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
So then I went to what we call in the business a commando show, where you can take everything in 2 carry-on bags and a checked-in bag and do a show. So I started booking things where I would fly out for a smaller price, fly out, arrive day of, do the show, and fly back home. And so the profit margin was smaller, but it picked up some more shows.
Yeah.
So I got some more bookings. So, you know, like, you gotta, like, it doesn't matter how good you are. If the shows aren't there, they're not there.
Right. Right.
So where are the shows? Right. I've always been a what's next, not why me.
Yeah.
Right. Why have I spent my whole life booking this and now all of a sudden I can't book shows?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter why. Why does not make any difference in what I do.
Right.
It's what do I need to do right now? If things have changed, what do I need to do? Well, how do I need to change? It doesn't matter that they change. Change is coming.
Yeah.
And it might be your fault. It might not be your fault. You might have done everything right and bad things happen. Doesn't matter. The truth is, what can I do right now? And not only what can I do, but what's the best thing I can do right now?
Yeah.
And so I just try to focus on that. And that was find out where I can still make income. Where are shows that I can book? And then work to book those. Okay, I was getting $1,500 a show, making a decent profit margin. Now I'm getting $700 shows, and I'm pocketing a little more than I would make if I did a birthday party local, but I'm not sitting home making nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's how I got through that.
That's good, man. And basically, you know, that's what this podcast is about, execution. And you said, you know, some things happen that's under our control, some things that's not. The question at the end of the day is, okay, what are you going to do? You know, are you going to execute on that? And that's so powerful, man, to take that personal
because
responsibility.
it's like shooting pool, right? It doesn't matter how you got where you're at. If you can't see the ball, you what are you going to do?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you made a bad shot and got stuck behind another ball, or if somebody else stuck you behind another ball.
You're there.
Right. But the other lesson in that is don't ignore that process to keep from getting in those bad situations.
That's good.
Back to the pool analogy. I was shooting pool with my dad one time, and I got stuck, and I found no way I got no shot. I said, what would you do here? Because my dad was really good at shooting pool. I said, what would you do? He goes, I'd have never gotten that situation.
That's it.
You're the one that didn't pay attention to your angles and your lines. You're just shooting the easiest ball, and you didn't take the right route. You took the easy route. So you take the easy route, you get in these bad situations. Don't put yourself in those situations.
Yeah.
Wait to figure it out when someone else puts you in a situation, and then you take control. Yeah. And so, so I realized part of that is avoid those bad situations by doing it right.
Yeah, that's
but
good.
Even if you do it right, you know, you're gonna find yourself in some bad spots.
Sometimes it happens. You know, one of my favorite quotes is like, where you are is a result of all the thinking and decisions you've made to this point. And so to change where you're going, you got to change your thinking and your decisions moving forward.
Yep.
You mentioned something a few minutes ago. You mentioned your wife, and you mentioned your one son has special needs. Now you have a couple other boys. So
I do, yeah.
You build a system where you, I only like to use the word balance, where you figured out the work time and the family time
Yeah.
intentionally. And I know you're a family man, because I know you. And so what framework do you use around there? Like, how do you protect family time when you're self-employed and every hour feels like, potential income?
Right. Right. Um, I guess it was a little easier for me because that was my priority to start with.
That's good.
Was because my dad was that way.
Yeah.
My dad was a plant manager for a company that went on to be a Fortune 500 company, and a lot of it was on the back of the work he did, but he realized that working 100 plus hours a week, he would never see myself or my brother.
Yeah.
And he quit and went to work as a general assembly person at General Motors, making like 20% of what he was making so
Mm,
that he could have time with us.
yeah.
And, the message was clear as a child is you're more important than the job or, having a new car every year or, a house in a prestigious neighborhood. And so, um, it's just like when your budget, you'll spend like whatever you got accessible to you or you feel like you had
That's right.
accessible to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
You got to plan things out. You got to be intentional with your money.
Yeah.
You got to be intentional with your time too.
Yeah.
And so if you say to start out with, I'm going to get everything I need to get done. And somehow you just do. Like when you run your own business, you get stuff done. You
Yeah.
you get what you have to get done. But if you commit to I'm going to put a certain amount of time into my family first, then I'll still find a way to get that stuff done. And so
Yeah.
that's what I did. And so it was easy for me. This is another thing. It may not translate to some businesses. We traveled as a family. My kids grew up in the back of a 3-seat Suburban. They would
Yeah.
sleep from
Yeah.
one state to another. And then we got there. They were my road crew.
Yeah.
They would bring everything in. They would set everything up. I had a son at 16 years old could run a sound system in just about any place in
Yeah.
America. I've seen him sit in a booth with headphones on and 2 monitors and stuff and run all the sound. We've been in places where he was in a different building running sound.
Wow.
And they were like, "Wait, this is your sound guy?" I'm like, "Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Just
like,
got it.
you'll see."
Yeah.
Right? He's done this literally thousands of times. He
Yeah.
didn't start out doing those types of sound things, but he started out with soundboards and stuff, and so he got really, really proficient at that. So, he would be my sound guy, he would be my tech, another one would run backstage, and then they would go out front and they would run the merch booth.
Yeah.
And so, I was able to incorporate them into what we did. Now, that's not possible for everybody,
Mhm.
but the give back was, "Hey, what do you guys wanna see in America? America's got so many things to see. What do you wanna see? Where do you wanna go?" "Well, I wanna see, the Grand Canyon." "Cool, we'll book shows in New Mexico and
No.
Arizona,"
Yeah.
right? "I wanna see the Golden Gate Bridge." "Done. Well, I'll book a show in San Francisco." And so wherever they wanted to go, or then once we started homeschooling and this kinda all this came together, it's like, "Oh, well, if we need them to learn something, we'll go there.
Yeah.
I'll book a show, we'll stay an extra day." And so the extra day is family day.
That's good.
We do nothing but like our studies and then our family time.
Yeah.
And so we spent a lot of time doing that. So it's like any other budgeting process. You're gonna use all your resources or all the resources you allocate. So if
Yeah.
you allocate family first and then decide you're gonna work hard enough to get everything else done, you'll do it.
Yeah. That's good. And so COVID hits.
Oh yeah.
And so it shuts down everything, man. I mean, you were doing shows that required people. And so
Yeah.
no shows, no bookings, no stages. So walk me through the moment when you realize that, okay, this is not just a temporary pause. This thing may last a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This made 2008 look comfortable.
That's right. Yeah.
I was like, there's no go out and get shows.
Right.
There's none. There's doors are closed.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys went to doing the internet magic where you actually could hire a magician online to do a show for your birthday or whatever online. And that was cool, but it wasn't me. You
Mhm.
still got to stay true to who you are.
Right. Right.
Right. And so I got to thinking like my wife had been working and we've always lived below our means.
Hmm.
And I went, we'll just cut back and we'll live off what she makes because I don't know that I can book a show. So
Yeah.
the first thing we did was we redid our budget and looked over everything like, all right, here's the things we got to cut out.
Right. Right.
Like we've been, taking the kids to movies and things like that. We've been doing different things. We were looking getting a new car and like that, all that's done.
Yeah.
That's off the table, right? Till this, we don't, because, it's easy looking back, but when it would first hit, it was going to be 2 weeks. And then now it's going to be a month. Now it's like it could be a year. I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, if this keeps getting worse, this could be years.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know. There's no way to know if this is going to end soon. If it ends soon, then we can just go back to doing things, right? Temporary pause. If
Yeah.
it doesn't, we gotta can't wait till it's too late. We got to start now. Day one. How are we going to change? How can we get by if this never gets better was my attitude.
Yeah.
So my wife was working for Olive Garden. She's assistant manager at Olive Garden. And I'm like, you make enough, we can live off of that. We're cutting out all extra expenses and stuff. We paid off our vehicles. We had some money. It was like, okay, we're going to pay the vehicles off so that if something happens, that like we can be done with that.
Yeah.
And then as long as we're able to do it, we're going to write our monthly car payment and we're going to put it into a savings account every month, just like we were saying it to the bank. And so we just started we had done that with one car. We did it with the other car.
That's good. Yeah.
And so now like my car repairs are like self-insured because I've got enough in that account now because we actually started that with the other car years before. So I got enough. I could actually buy a car now out of that account.
Right. That's good. That's smart.
Right. So I'm like, okay, so this worked for us in like saving money along the way. Let's see how we can do this with all these other things. So we got to playing a lot of board games, getting away from digital stuff, reducing like our TV package and phone package and all this stuff, cut all of our expenses to bare bones. And then I found that like, I am not a person to sit still. I just like, when I go on vacation, I can't go to the beach. Like lay on the beach, it just seems like wasting time to me.
Yeah.
I want to go somewhere where I'm active.
That's right.
And so, like COVID just was like, oh man, like I'm an extrovert. I got to get out. So I don't like, what am I going to do? Well, I had been teaching as a guest lecturer, a deception class at the University of Alabama.
Yeah.
And the professor there had been telling me for several years, like, you would make a great teacher. You should consider teaching. And I went, I'm a magician. Like, it's part of who I am, right? I'm not a teacher. And he's like, you are a teacher. That's not your job. I'm like, yeah. So during COVID, he's like, you should go back and finish your degree. Cause I started at the University of Alabama in the 80s. And I was in broadcast film with the idea that if I got on TV, it would facilitate me doing magic, maybe have my own magic show, TV show.
Yeah.
And then I left to do a 21 show tour that I booked in Costa Rica, thinking this may be my only chance to perform outside the US. And I had to book a bunch of shows to make ends meet for the rest of that semester, which led to another big show, which led to me booking everything through that semester, which led to another big show. And I just never went back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I set out to be a professional magician and kind of fell into it just from working and not realizing that I was actually doing that,
Yeah.
So, I'd been through all that and I was like, okay, well, rather than sit here, I could go back and finish my degree. That's never going to hurt. It's always good to learn. I'm always trying to learn anyway. So I'm like, that's cool. So I went back and I finished my degree because I only had a year left. And then I ran into one of the world's foremost experts in deception at an academic level.
Okay.
That named Dr. Timothy Levine.
Yeah.
And so if any of your audience is familiar with Malcolm Gladwell, his book, Talking to People, it's based off Dr. Levine's work.
Yeah.
So he's a very prestigious researcher. And so I was like, I just met with him and I was like, hey, I'm a magician. I went back, I'm getting my undergrad degree. And I just found out that you can actually study deception. And he's like, yeah, I'd love to have you as a master's degree student. And so, and I got the University of Alabama to allow me to bring my special needs son with me. So I'm a full-time caregiver, older than the professors that are teaching me. I'm a guy who makes quarters disappear. Now I'm back in school. Like this is like, you would think out of my element. And everybody's like, that's not going to work, dude. Like, you can't teach old dogs new tricks.
Yeah.
And then you got your son with you. And like anything as far as from like research sciences, making quarters disappear, like this is like what? And so I went to him and he saw the vision too. He's like, no, like we could learn what about deception because that's my son there clapping.
Good.
I've built deception my whole life. I've worked with deception my whole life. Research scientists only study it from kind of the outside moving in.
Yeah. Yes.
So I'm like, what I understand, maybe I can fill some of the gaps of knowledge that you don't
Yeah.
know, or teach you how deception is built. And so through that process, I got fully funded. Everything was paid for. I got a
Wow.
stipend. I got a scholarship. I got paid to teach. So I ended up through COVID making money while getting my master's degree.
That's
And
good.
then COVID was on the COVID would really end before I finished my master's degree, but, um, halfway through, I started getting offers from schools that wanted me to go do my PhD,
Hmm.
because some of the work that I was doing, even in my master's, was, like, unique and informative. And so they're like, "Hey, we would love to have you do this as a PhD."
Yeah.
And so I was able to do that, and so now I'm halfway through. I after this spring semester, I have 1 more year and I'll have a PhD in human communication,
Wow.
specializing in social influence. And under that umbrella is this persuasion and deception, which are
Hmm.
2 things that we use on stage. So we have to be able to persuade people and manipulate people's perception to do magic. And then we have to use misdirection and different things to deceive people, to fool them into thinking like, how'd you make the girl disappear?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so those things translate into what there's 2 fields that people have been studying this for years. And me coming in, my perspective is like, oh, well, you're wondering about this. I know how that's built. Let
Mm.
me show you something
Yes.
you don't know about that.
Yes. Yes. That's
And
good.
so that's yeah, because I felt like at this point, because I almost had my own TV show.
Wow.
I worked with Dick Clark Studios, and we pitched it. They loved the idea, and they said, "You got by the end of this month, we need 12 full episodes front to back." I had 10 full episodes, and 2 of them that had all the big tricks and all the skeleton work, but there was like a little bit of filler that wasn't exactly right. And I'm like, it kind of depends on, how we're going to do things, what there's some overarching stuff that will help me kind of fill in what will be the exact right trick for
Hmm.
these.
Hmm.
And so I went to them and they looked at it and they went, "We're out." And that shut that down.
Wow.
And I went, "Oh, yeah, wow." Right? Like I've had deadlines and expectations, but never that like
Oh, that was strange.
hard no.
That was strange.
And then I was one of the final 3 considered to be the resident headlining act at the Palms when it opened.
Hmm.
But they end up with, like, I think a music act or something. And I was gonna do a thing where I was gonna hang off of the 34th story bar
Yeah.
over the strip or the street. They're off the strip, but over the street. They were gonna block that area off, and I was gonna hang over there in my straitjacket with a saw coming down a tower
Awesome.
that was gonna cut the rope in half that I'm hanging
That's
from.
some Houdini stuff, man.
I'd have 1 minute to get out, or the saw cuts the rope in half,
Yeah.
and the only way to turn the saw off is a button hanging out there next to me,
Wow.
and so they love that idea.
Right.
I
Right.
was like,
Right.
"This is either gonna be a great introduction to my Vegas show or one heck of a YouTube video,"
That's right. One or the other.
and they thought that was funny, so they're like, "Yeah,
That's
yeah."
good. That's
And
good.
that line and that pitch got me in the running for, having my own Las Vegas show. But in the end, they felt like the safer thing was to get a music act, and then if it didn't work out, they
Yeah.
could get another music act pretty
Nice.
quickly. So,
Okay.
at my age, it's like a young, sexy game, and I'm neither anymore. So, it's time to transition. Like, this hit me in the face. Like, I was doing this education thing for me,
Yeah.
but then I realized, like, this might be a better path for me. I can still do shows. I can still book shows. I still do shows. I've got clients that I've done stuff for years, or bigger shows that I'll still book. But to be able to help the world understand deception better really appealed to me.
Yeah. That's good.
And especially in today's age,
Yes,
it's really
absolutely.
important. So I'm
Um,
kind of transitioning there into research scientist. If we come back a year from now, like, you're going to be calling me Dr. Anderson. That
that's
seems
right.
kind of
It's
crazy,
Doc. Doc.
right?
Okay, hey, Doc.
Yeah,
That's good. I want to have a couple more questions, but before we do that,
sure.
y'all, I got to see a trick.
All right.
I got to see a
I
trick.
wasn't
What you
I
got,
wasn't really
man?
ready for this.
What you got for me?
Uh You know, you talked about like the old school, like when you first start.
Yeah.
So I think I can still do the trick that I learned my very first magic trick.
Okay.
Because so I'm presently in my apartment, so I don't have any of my equipment
Right,
here.
right, right.
Hold on a second.
Okay.
All right, here we go. So I do have like a little red pocket handkerchief for my pocket.
Yeah.
And I explained this is the first trick I ever did, and I was in elementary school. And so I tell people, I said, well, I've got a small invisible hole in my hand right here,
Uh-huh.
and I can put anything in there. I use it so, like, if I want to go to the store, let me get on the camera good here. If I wanted to go to the store and like buy something, some gum or whatever, I could take my money and I could put it down into that hole in my hand
Mhm.
like that, and then I could blow on it, and it's gone. But if I was on the way to the store, and then like people want to rob me, I could just show I didn't have anything in my hands. But when I get to the store, I could reach down in my hand and I could pull that money back out like that,
Uh,
and then I could never get robbed.
that's good. That's good. I'm still trying to figure that one out. I don't know what you just
Yeah,
That's good. Couple more questions.
sure.
You said you've been mentored by great magicians who
Yeah.
also became friends. What's the most um, maybe counterintuitive piece of advice, like one of them actually gave you that kind of changed how you operated?
Yeah. So, um, well, for me personally, I discovered things in reverse order. So this may not translate to a lot of people too, right?
Hmm.
Most magicians create a stage persona,
Yeah.
right? Because first thing a really competent magician told me that was helped me with my show is people don't want to see their next door neighbor when they go for
Hmm.
entertainment, right? They want someone that's either really good looking or very unique, or especially both. You find
Yeah.
somebody that's really
Yeah.
so like having a show that stands out is a must, but just because it's different doesn't make it good.
Yeah.
If it's really good, but it's not different, you're not going to get anywhere. What you need is something different and is really good.
That's good.
So you got to have a really good, strong stage persona. Well, I didn't realize I always thought I was a shy introvert because my mom was very overprotective of
Hmm.
me. And I found out over time that actually my stage persona was really who I was, and that I had learned to grow into the role that society had given me of being kind of an outcast,
Yeah.
loner, introvert type person. And then I found out over time, actually, I was the extrovert that I was on stage. So
Hmm.
I became much more comfortable with myself and I started kind of acting like my stage persona. Turns out that's really who I was.
Yeah.
So that was a difficult thing for me to realize that I would do better off in life if I was the person off stage. Most of the time, people take their off stage persona and like amplify it to be on stage,
Hmm.
and that's a
Hmm.
difficult process.
Yeah.
I had the exact opposite.
Okay.
So all the things that you intuitively learn when you're putting together your stage presence and stage show and all this for a magician didn't work for me. I had to kind of almost reverse engineer this and discover that I really wasn't at heart an introvert. I really was an extrovert, and I, enjoyed having
Right.
friends and socializing and things like that.
That's good.
So that was maybe the most, out of the ordinary. But then like building the show, Ab Dixon, he put Lance Burton's theater together for his $100 million show at the Monte Carlo. He's been to several TV shows. He was a consultant for the apparatus that made Superman fly in the original Christopher Reeves Superman.
Hmm.
He helped work on the thing that made land speeders uh, look like they were flying in Star Wars and a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And so he's like, when you go through the show, like you got to picture what does your show look like, sound like, smell like? I'm like, what does that have a thing to do with it? He's like, you're trying to give an immersive experience. If you don't know what it looks like, sounds like, smells like, feels like to you, how are you going to share that experience with the
Yeah.
audience? You're just going
Yeah.
to be a guy doing tricks. There are a lot of guys that are really talented performers of tricks, but they don't do shows.
Mm.
There's even guys at pretty high levels that don't do a show.
Yeah.
And to do a whole show really is different. And so working towards that really changed the stage aspect of what I do.
One more question, but before we get to that, talk about the game show you were just on.
Oh, yeah.
Just on, I think it was last year.
I was actually on 2. I was actually
Yeah.
on 3 episodes total. So
Yes,
the
yes.
the
So,
hottest
tell us about that. Yeah.
hottest new show on Fox last year
Yes.
was called The 1% Club,
Yes.
and it was season 1 for Fox. The first season was actually a different host, and it was on Amazon Prime only.
Mhm.
But Amazon Prime and Fox put out The 1% Club. Joel McHale was the host,
Yeah.
and hundreds of thousands of people applied, and I got accepted. But my goal wasn't to just get on the show and win, although I felt like I had a decent chance at winning.
Mhm.
I'd practiced a lot, and about 2/3 of the questions, like other full show episodes, I got to where about 2/3 of the shows in that last season I watched, I could get through all of the questions,
Oh, wow.
and I would win the $100,000.
Yeah.
But I realized that on set's not the same as doing it at home.
Yeah.
And if that was my goal, I would miss an opportunity. My goal was to be the first person to ever do a magic trick on a game show, because that's a big no-no
That hadn't
in the
been done.
field.
I didn't know that hadn't been done before.
Right. So as far as I know, now this, but I don't,
Yeah.
Someone of your viewers is going to like pull up a YouTube
Yeah, they
video
gonna
from
pull this
1978 or
shit
something,
real,
right?
right?
But historically, the mindset of these types of shows is we don't want people coming in here and trying to sing or juggle or get discovered.
I get it.
Everybody thinks, oh, if I can get on a game show, I'll get discovered, I'll get an agent and all that. And it's super annoying to everybody on the staff.
Yeah.
So it's a hard no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, all right, so how can I do that? Right.
Yeah.
How can I, so I can't ask them to do a trick. I got to get them to ask me to do a trick.
Yeah.
Right.
Smart.
That's what I got to do. So I think it was Steve Martin who said, if you're in entertainment, the secret is be so good they can't ignore you.
Mm.
Right. So if I'm making it seem like I'm just begging to do a trick on the show, that's going to raise a lot of resistance in an era it's already a hard no.
Yeah.
So instead, what I did is I had cast for several shows before, so I knew how this process works. So I'm like, okay, so I know that the casting producer you start with is passing you up to the one for the network, right? In this case, Fox. And then you're going to be passed to somebody from the actual show, and then you're going to be passed to one of the producers that's on the show, the casting producer that's going to be there that day. That is the top of the ladder you're going to get to as a contestant. So I know when I get to that guy, I've got 2 shots to set up a way for him to ask me to do something on set.
Right.
So I'm preparing for that the whole way.
Yeah.
Everything I'm doing is intentionally working towards this.
Yes.
So I get it. I'm talking to magicians. I'm like, dude, what is something no one's done that would just be this has to be like 10 seconds or less that just looks amazing. And I have it in and out without stopping the flow. And it won't look like I'm just showing off or doing some stupid parlor trick, right? And so we put this together. And so I had a plan. So what happened is the second time I'm talking to this producer, I've got this shot, and then we're going to do the final talk before the show. I was talking to him, and I said, hey, I said, it's too bad that this is a game show. And he's like, why? I'm like, because I have a trick would be really cool. It would fit right into like this whole line, because they give you like what they want from you, right? So this is a good thing for job interviews, by the way. If you can get the person to tell you what they want, you tell them why you are what they want, you're more likely to get the job.
Right.
So what I did in the first interview with him is like, hey, you tell me what you want from me on stage, what you want from my character, how you want me to be. Do you want me to be over the top? Hey, I'm magic guy, da, da, da. Or do you want me to be like this? Or do you want me to be more like sophisticated? Yes, I'm a professional deceptionist. And, you kind of give me what you want, right? So then the next trip through, so he tells me what he wants. So next trip through, next time we talk, I'm like, hey, it's too bad this is a game show. And he's like, why? And it's like, well, all the things you said really make sense. And that's who I'm going to be. And there's a trick that I do that would be perfect for this, but I would never do it on a game show. And he's like, what is it? I'm like, don't worry about it. And he's like, no, like, show me. And I'm like, okay. I said, I'll show you, but it's a game show. And so I do the trick. He's like, holy cow.
Yeah.
Although he used more expressive adult words,
right.
right? That's amazing. Could you really do that on the show? I'm like, well, of course. He's like, dude, bring it to set. Bring it to set. And we're going to talk to the head producer from Fox that's coming in. I'm like, all right, cool. So we get their day of. And so we're talking, and he's like, hey, did you bring the trick? I'm like, yeah. And he goes, all right, let's go because when you go in, they pat you down.
Uh-huh.
And they do the wand, and you go through the beep beep door and the whole thing, just like the airport. You can't have anything on you, no cell phones, no anything. You can't have anybody like weapons and attack somebody. They can't have anything. It's got a recording device. They can't have anything where someone could signal you answers to a trick or to an answer or question or whatever. Literally they check everything. They pat you down the whole deal. So he's like, let's go to lockup because you're given a number, all your stuff stored in a room, in a locker. And we'll go there. We can't even go in and get it. Like they would have to bring it out to us. And I'm like, well, I've got it on me. He's like, you what? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, oh, magician. So like that sold him right there.
Yeah.
Like you got through security with the trick on you and they didn't know.
They didn't know it. Yeah.
He goes, God, you're dangerous at airports, but okay, all right. So I'm like, yeah. So we go over to the producer guy. He's like, hey, this is Curt. He was my number one pick. I think he's our best on-air personality of all the people I brought in. And he's got this really cool magic trick that would be amazing for the show. And the producer's like, I don't like it. I'm like, that's okay, no problem. And I start to walk off. And so my producer's like, wait a minute, like show it to him. He's like, and he's like, I don't know. And I'm like, it's no problem. I said, it is very cool, but I get it. It's a game show. And so my producer's like, no, show. I was like, I tell you what. And so the head producer, head guy, he's just like very resistant. His name's Doug. And I was like, Doug, tell you what, I'll do the trick. Grab your phone, record it. I'll do the trick. I'll walk away. You don't like it. You never hear about it again. Dave here's not going to say anything. Like, it's cool. I get it. It's a game show, right? If you decide you want to do it, just let me know. I'd be glad to do it. It's pretty cool. So he's like, all right, whatever. So he gets his phone out and he's like, go ahead. So I do the trick and he lets out a loud expletive.
Yes.
And like, wow, how'd you do that? And I'm like, well, I can't tell. He's like, hold on, I got to go call Fox. I got to call compliance and I got to call something else.
Yeah.
So they've got to literally, like I have to write down where I got each item that you potentially see and don't see. Yeah. Who owns the rights? Is this a trick that someone owns the rights to? It does not. I came up with this idea with a friend, so it's my own. Right. Here's where I got the props. Here's who you can talk to. All this stuff. And so they got to go call compliance and they literally have to call the people that make the different things that, again, seen and unseen that I use and ask if this is shown on TV, does he have rights to do this on TV? Can you verify that, we're not breaking any rules with the purchase of this trick? There's nothing on here. It's got a trademark or anything like that. And then they got to send it over to the executive producer and say, would you approve this trick being used? And so I go on set and still don't know that I'm going to do the trick on set until Joel McHale, the host, turns to me and says, so you're a professional magician. You got a trick for us?
Like, here we go.
And I'm like, here we go. And so I do it and it went amazing. It was really, really cool. Yeah. You can look it up. I think it's season 2, episode 6, I think.
Yeah.
But the name of the episode is because it's Joel McHale.
Okay.
And they had a question about Jello shots, so they called it Jolo shots.
Okay.
Look, you can go to episode 6, Jolo shots.
Yeah, see if I can find it and go ahead and put it in here so the folks can see it.
Yeah. You want to show us a trick there? I'm a little scared.
Yeah. So typical, used cards, right? My favorite card trick takes a little too long, so instead we'll just go from there.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was on there. So it's really cool, and they loved it so much they had a episode of like their favorites from the first 2 seasons,
Yeah.
and they brought me back for that one.
Nice.
But I asked if they wanted me to do a magic trick, and they're like, "No." And in this process, if anybody's doing these shows, if you ever start a conversation of something they don't want you to do, that's like the death of you
That's it.
there.
Yeah.
So you'll see me pop up in the best of or
Okay.
I think it was redemption episode.
Yeah.
People a second chance to be on the show.
Okay.
And
Good.
then that led to them asking me to be on 25 words or less. And so I got there. So I didn't even bring a magic trick, didn't like nothing about it. And then they asked me to do a trick there on set. And so I just made something up as I went, and it went really good. So I got to do that for a couple of the celebrities and stuff. And then now they've asked me to interview for a show called Flipside,
Okay.
and they want to film it for this next summer.
Nice.
So it's kind of nuts that
Yeah,
here
that's
I might
crazy.
end up being on 4 or 5 game shows.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
good, man. Man, I
Yeah.
appreciate you, man. I was I think I may have seen you posted or something like that. And so my son and I was like, I know. He said, "You know him?" My son,
Yeah.
that's like, yeah, man, that's my guy. Well, man, look, definitely appreciate you coming on. Look, for everybody
Yeah.
watching that want to follow your work, they want to book you for a show, they just
Sure.
want to just follow your journey. How can they get in contact with you?
Yeah, so when the internet hits, right, and I got to come up with a name for my website and stuff, I thought, well, the first name for a magician was a magi,
Yeah.
and my name's Curt, starts with a C. So Magi Curt looks like magic Curt with 1 C. I
Right.
thought it was
Yeah.
real clever.
Yeah.
Nobody gets it. It looks
Yeah.
stupid now. Like, right. I should have just went with CurtAnderson.com. Who knew, right? So, but everything I got's Magi Curt, MAGICURT.
Okay.
So like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, you can follow me on all those. I've got TikTok. I put out a few videos. I've got one that's got like 35,000 hits on it or something. And then my website, magicurt.com.
Okay.
Easy way to follow me. People can hit me up on Facebook or TikTok or whatever. The TikTok story, I did a show and I hired a camera crew to record the show because I was
Mhm.
using parts of that to build a sizzle reel to apply to do a show out in Vegas in Hollywood. So it's really like a promo demo reel of this particular show I was doing at the time. And the guy that recorded it, I paid him. So really, like, he's not supposed to use any of the video
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
personal. One trick amazed him so much, he put it up on YouTube. Not YouTube, TikTok.
TikTok. Yeah.
14 million views.
Oh my gosh.
He became TikTok famous. He makes money on TikTok based off the back of my video. Didn't even tag me in it. How I found out is my adult son, who's married and lives in Mississippi, messages me at like 7:00 in the morning. WTF, now I have to delete TikTok. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, the last thing I want to see when I wake up in the morning is my dad doing a magic trick. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't even have a TikTok channel because this is like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're trending on TikTok. You're all over the place. Like, I can't get away from it. I'm like, what? And so he sends me the link. And sure enough, I live in the state of Alabama and he lives in the state of Mississippi. And this has more views than the total population of the two states combined.
Wow. Wow.
And I was like, well, I guess I got to get a TikTok channel.
Yeah, you gotta get you a TikTok.
So I got a TikTok channel.
Yeah.
And it's Magi Curt.
Good. I'll definitely link those under the description here of the video. Once again, Curt, man, appreciate you
Yeah, for
coming
sure.
on and sharing with us. Much success, man, in your doctoral studies
Yeah.
and your business with your family. Just all around, man. So
Thanks. I got one more. You got time for one more little piece of
yeah,
advice?
come on.
All right. We talked about this, and I almost hate to share it, but it's just
Yeah.
so good. I feel like I'm almost morally obligated
Come
to.
on, yeah.
I have worked with the best. I know, like I worked with David Blaine. He was going to try to break the world record for staying awake the longest.
Yeah.
And our hometown, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, has a thing where people stand with their hand on a boat. Whoever
Mhm.
stands there the longest wins the boat.
Mhm.
I've entered it twice. I won both times. I'm now banned from the contest. So I can stand with stay awake for days. I've stayed
Wow.
awake for 5 days before with no sleep.
Wow.
So I was working with David Blaine on this, and I got to find out who he was and how he works and everything. I've met Copperfield half a dozen times.
Mhm.
I was supposed to go see Copperfield this summer. I'm meeting with Penn and Teller in May.
Yeah.
Brian Brushwood, the world's most famous internet magician for a while, is a good friend of mine. I stayed at his house a bunch. These guys are all extremely successful.
Yeah.
Like, multi tens of millionaires or billionaire guys, right? And I realized something about them. So I've never heard anybody say this. This is something. Now I'm not saying I necessarily came up with it. I have never heard anybody else say it.
Mhm.
But my whole life, I've heard you got to work smarter, not harder.
Mhm.
You heard that before,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? That's not the secret to success.
Mhm.
Every person that I know that is highly successful, not just successful, not just like really successful. I mean, top level
Yeah.
success,
Uber successful. Yeah.
right? They work harder and smarter.
Yeah. That's good.
They come up with a better way to do things than their competitors, and then they kick their butts in outworking them too.
That's good.
If you really want to be successful, you got to work smarter and harder, not
Yeah.
smarter.
Yeah.
Smarter and harder.
Yeah.
The other thing I realized along that same line is the price you'll pay may be higher than you want. It's when I decided people have asked me, "Do you want to be the next Copperfield?" And I'm like, "Hell no,"
Yeah.
because I know what it took for him to get there.
Yeah.
I'm not willing to sacrifice the relationship with my wife and my kids and my friends
That's right. That's the
to
other side. Yeah.
put magic above everything else.
Yeah.
And to be highly successful, when you take that journey, you got to put that priority above everything else in your life.
Yeah.
And maybe that works for you. But to me, my family was a higher priority than my magic.
Good.
So
Yeah.
if you got people out there who's like, man, I want to be the best, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You can do that.
Yeah.
But realize it comes with a price. To do it, you must work smarter and harder, and realize that you're going to put your relationships, all of them, not just like your wife or not just your kids or just your best friend, like all your relationships have to be expendable to some degree to be the best there is at whatever you do.
Yeah. Look, perfect ending. Perfect bowl.
All right.
And on that note, hey guys, thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. That'll tell YouTube, hey, keep putting these videos out so people can learn from these individuals. Man, Curt, appreciate you so much, guys. Until next time, go get it.
Yeah. Ideas are cheap. Execution pays.